Hi everyone. I'm coming on today. This is probably going to be a little bit of a long video because I'm going to go over a few things, a lot of things actually. But I'm coming on to talk about, first of all, I mentioned before that you're going to deal with a lot of illness and things like that in your ascension journey, because it's part of the deal is to purge everything that is no longer serving you. And in the process of doing that, a lot of times you have to heal through the damage that you did to your body when you were living unconsciously and out of alignment with your soul. Sorry, this thing is moving around on me, so I just want to fix it before I go further. Okay, good. Anyway, so I'm coming on to talk to you about what happened with me. For those of you that have been following me for a few years, you know that I've been on the ascension journey for over a decade. And in the process of my ascension, I've gone through all kinds of purging addictions, giving up smoking, drinking, coffee, you name it, changing lifestyle patterns, changing, the people that I had in my life. I really went through a complete transformation. And I've shifted and changed my whole reality, really. The people that I used to hang out with and resonate with, I don't resonate with anymore. I've built a new soul family, and I changed jobs. I stepped out of the corporate life like a lot of others that are on the ascension path, and I went into my spiritual mission. And so I've gone through a lot of layers of ascension, and those that followed me, that saw the video that I did after I had quit smoking. For those of you that don't know, I flatlined 4 times. I had angelic guides come and assist me and show me that I needed to quit smoking, and they showed me that I had an issue with my breast. That was about 4 years ago. And so I didn't know what they meant by an issue with my breast. I just saw, and they spoke to me in light language, so I could read what they were telling me. And I knew that there was an issue with the breast, but I thought it might be the lung and it might be related to smoking. I didn't know exactly what I was going to be facing. Because that's just the way that the spiritual world works. You know how to pick up, a lot of stuff, but you still have to work through it. You really have to kind of go through your journey and, piece it together and purge things out and really, follow the trail, the little crumbs that they leave for us. And in this case, it was a big thing for me. It wasn't a crumb. It was, they very clearly told me to quit smoking, which I did. Then I flatlined 4 times, and I healed my lung. I was told that I had COPD and emphysema and all that, and I don't have it at all. It's 4 years later, and it's like, my lungs are great. They're rebuilt. I probably could rebuild the left one a little bit more still. I've been doing a lot of breathing exercises. But anyhow, when that happened, I was shown that there was an issue with my breast. And so I went on a journey of 4 years of just really trying to meditate and understand what was happening to me. I was going to the gym every day. I was sitting in the sauna and detoxing from the smoking. I was doing breathing exercises to rebuild my lung. And of course, I stayed on my ascension path and continued to meditate and pray and all those things that we do when we're lining up with the spirit. And yet I started to become extraordinarily ill. And a lot of you might have seen that in some of my videos and my posts. And this past year, in 2020 and 2019, I was extremely sick. You could see it on my face. There wasn't anything I could do to even hide it. It was just, I was on my deathbed, literally. I was dreaming about it. And I was dreaming, and I knew I could feel myself dying. And I knew that I was dying. And I laugh about it because, I'm sorry, I have something in my eye here. It's like a little hair. But anyhow, I laugh about the dying thing because those of you that know me know that I have died, I've come out of my body, I've gone into the astral so many times that it's kind of like, it's a joke to me. When it's my time, I'm gonna go, and I know where I'm going. I've been there before, and so I kind of joke about it. But in this particular case, I wasn't joking. It wasn't really a lot of fun. It was a very, very difficult part of my journey to go through, because I wasn't just dying, I was completely suffering. And I'm a very evolved person in the ascension path. So it's not like I was not understanding what I was being led to and through. To some degree, I didn't understand the full scope yet, but I got to the root of it eventually. But and I'll get there in just a minute. But anyhow, yeah, it was a lot for me. I forgot where I was going with that. But anyhow, I was getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And I didn't understand why. I kept praying and meditating about it, and I kind of had the fear. The fear came in a little bit, and I tried not to allow myself to go in that energy at all, because I don't do the fear thing. But those thoughts come through, and I was feeling like, okay, maybe this is it. Maybe this is really going to be the way that I exit, because a lot of people, when they reach a certain level of evolution, they transition over. And a lot of light workers and twin flames in this particular window of time on our earth plane right now are also transitioning over. And so I wasn't sure. And but I felt like I still have things to do here. So I was quite sure that I wasn't going to go. And I was like, why would they save me from smoking and everything else if I was going to die? Maybe I just got to be on this journey of illness, which I know that Wayne Dyer and some other spiritual teachers in the past have talked about this level of ascension in their own journeys, where going through an illness, it's also a level of evolution for you. There's so much that happens when you're going through a situation like what I just experienced the last 4 years. You really become humbled by the people that I really had to rely on people to assist me during this time, which is not anything any of us want to do. You don't feel good about not being able to support yourself, or not even being able to function. But I really had to rely on the support and the love of other people. And I'm really, really blessed that I had a family member that assisted me, my cousin that assisted me through this. And I am deeply, deeply grateful for him and for his family. But I ended up having to go through that journey of, the feelings, the emotions, the things that you think about, what comes to your mind, and it's definitely, I'll do another video about that specific subject later. Hopefully you guys will remind me, because I'm still dealing with some brain fog, which was one of the really severe symptoms that I was having. And after my surgery, it's starting to go away, but it's going to take some time to kind of purge through. So bear with me, everyone, and please remind me of anything that you want me to do videos on. I'm really gearing up to get to them all now, so I'm really happy about that. But anyhow, getting back to the point, so I started to get more and more and more sick. And the more later I realized that the more that I had been sitting in that sauna, the sicker I was getting. And I thought that was really strange, because when you sit in sauna, you're going to get, detoxed, and you're going to have more energy usually. But I was going in there, and then I was coming out drained and super tired and sick as a dog. So I started to stop doing that last year in 2020. And in 2020, most of the year, is the same year that I actually physically came together with my twin flame and got to meet him in the physical world after 10 years of alchemy and alchemical marriage and Hyros, Gamos, and Tantra and all of that. And yet at the same time that we came together, I was going through extraordinary sickness, and I was bedridden most of the last 2 years, 2019 and 2020. I was getting to the point where I couldn't even get out of bed. I really just couldn't do it anymore. I was lucky if I got a shower twice a week. I was very sick. For those of you that know me, you probably saw some of my pictures. And so what happened is eventually I realized that I had breast implant illness. And I'm going to go into a couple of other areas here, but first I just want to address the fact that I did put a couple of posts out on both of my pages, and I think I might have shared them in a couple of the groups also, in relation to how breast implants affect your ascension. And strangely enough, well, I didn't say that I was dealing with it. I wasn't ready to tell the public that that's what I was dealing with, but I shared the information to just try to plant the seed for anybody that might need it at the time. But because I didn't say that I was dealing with it personally, I got attacked by a mob of crazy people, people that didn't know that I was speaking from experience. Experience is the one thing that separates a wise man from a fool. And so I was talking about what I was experiencing, and I have actual knowledge of it. And I ended up having to sadly block probably 15 people off of one of my pages, the Psychic Ellen Red page, because they were so rude. These people were rude to me. There were men that were coming on my page acting like I was jealous of other girls that had breast implants, which is really embarrassing that they would feel that way because they don't know me. And I had women that were, in cognitive dissonance. They didn't want to accept that maybe this could be a problem for them. And I had just, a lot of weirdness. People do weird things when they're not ready to face things. And this is how the ego mind works. That it's gonna, if it's something you like, which almost a lot of things that we're giving up on, we're having ego deaths over, are things that we like when we're in our ego mind. They're not necessarily things that are good for you. And because we're going through ascension, we're coming back into alignment with our highest soul. We're coming into alignment with what is in our highest and best interest. So do we like having big boobs? Yeah. Do we like having, do men like big fake boobs? Of course they do. So I was getting it from every angle. And of course, these people didn't know that I was speaking from experience, but they shouldn't have been that way anyways, so I blocked them because I don't want to be attacked by people that are too small-minded to understand where somebody's coming from, or to be kind to me, to try to understand where I was coming from. They were just rude. And so those are the kind of people that we try not to have to go there, but you have to cut them out of your life if they're going to be that rude and that not have an open mind enough to try to learn and have compassion and, have compassion. I was in my sick bed, for crying out loud, I laughed, but it wasn't funny. And so anyhow, and I also want to address the fact that at the same time that was happening, I had another friend who was on a different page who saw me saying that I was going to go into surgery, and because he's a spiritual person, he got on my page and started chewing me out and telling me, how dare I talk about that when I'm supposed to be an ascension teacher and teach people about wholeness and wellness. Well, I'm not going to tell people that there's times that they should never have surgery. That's bull crap. There are times that people need to have it, and there's lots of reasons why, and it's none of anybody's business when you're going to go through something like that. So you have to always make your own best decision, and there are times that the Western medicine there's a reason for it. I'm not, I know a lot of people in the spiritual world are totally against Western medicine, and I'm one of them, except I'm not totally against it. I just prefer to go the natural route in all ways possible if I can. But I've personally had friends die just in the last couple of years on 2 or 3 different occasions because they simply refused to go to a doctor because they're so against Western medicine. And I don't think that it's the right message to tell the collective that they should never use a Western doctor. There's a place for everyone and everything, and the divine works through all of us. That includes Western medicine. It doesn't mean that you should be reliant on it. It doesn't mean you should fall into the trap of taking all their pharma drugs all the time if there's natural ways to heal yourself. But it does mean that there are times that you need to have surgery. In my case, I needed to have my breast implants removed, and I did. These are mine now, thank God. I never needed those things. So I'm so glad to have them out. I'm glad to have, my own, because I was afraid that I was going to lose my breast. That was what I was kind of also feeling like maybe I was going to lose it, because they showed me, the light being showed me. And so anyhow, I got blessed. I got the surgery done. As soon as I realized that that's what it was, and I did the same thing that I did with a couple of other times in my life where I really threw a fit with God. And, it's funny that sometimes we have to get to that point in our own selves where we just had it with our own bullshit before we get the answers that we need. And in this case, I was so focused on the quitting smoking and the healing from that I didn't understand that I also needed to remove my breast implants. I got my breast implants when I was 20, maybe 21. I think I was 21. And at that time in my life, obviously I was an unconscious person. Back then, I didn't get activated in my light body or have my spiritual awakening until 2011. So I was in my 30s. But in my 20s, I wasn't awakened yet. And so I grew up in Utah, in Park City, and running around that circuit in the Winter Olympics and all that as a swimsuit model. I was actually a college graduate, and I had graduated as a public relations and broadcast journalist. And I was kind of semi-famous, if you will, in Utah, in the sense that I was on television and radio, and I was on the swimsuit team, which in Utah is a big thing. So everywhere you go, you're signing autographs for people. I had my own clocks, my own posters, my own, whatever, all of it, right? So I was in the Winter Olympics. I was on the Jay Leno show, and I was a thing back then, a person, a public person, and a spokesmodel. And obviously, when you're in that scene, there is sort of an expected look, an expected behavior, an expected kind of an ideal person that you're going to be. You're going to be out in front of the public, and you got to look this certain way, and you're going to have these long dresses on, perfect little crystal earrings. It's, perfect body, a skinny waist. You can't have, I was told that I was overweight when I was 16, which was ludicrous, from a modeling agency. And that was the scene. That's the scene. I can go into detail on another video of that, but that was where I lived in my mind and my life in my 20s. And the girls that didn't have, even though I had enough of my own, but the girls that didn't have the big fake ones, perky, whatever, they weren't getting jobs. You were gonna have it if you wanted to get a job, and you weren't gonna get hired without it. And everybody knew that. Whether anybody said it or not was irrelevant. You just knew it. It was an unspoken thing, kind of like what goes on in Hollywood. And by the way, it's kind of a lot of the same circuit of people in Park City, Utah that are in Hollywood. They're the same people. That's like their winter vacation. So it's the same scene, and yet a little bit different. And so anyway, that was the environment, and I was a young girl. And I was also a young girl who had gone through, again, for those of you that follow me, you already know that in my childhood I went through extraordinary child abuse, molestation, sexual abuse, neglect, abandonment, you name it. I pretty much went through all of it. I was definitely in the MK Ultra program. I was violated by multiple people before I was even a teenager. And by the time I was a teenager, I had lost count. And so I went through a lot of trauma, an extraordinary amount of trauma. I was suicidal I was a psychic kid, and as many of you probably already know, the psychic kids are very much attacked by the dark forces. The archons go after the psychic kids for a reason. And so I was one of them. And by the time I was in my 20s, I had the self-esteem issues that you're going to get if you go through that kind of trauma and that abuse. And I didn't have a whole healthy family environment. There was nobody there to support me. There were people in my life, in my family, but they were not supportive, and there was nobody there that was in any way conscious or even capable of love, sadly, because they were all broken and dealing with their own traumas and false programs and things like that. So I was the youngest child, so I went through a lot of what the Gabriel Hernandez story brought up, where there's always like this kid in the family that gets the most picked on or harmed because they're the easy target. And I was the youngest one. My sister was extremely jealous of me from the day I was born. My brothers were kind of always sort of fighting each other, but being that I was the youngest one, I always kind of got it from both of them. The older one would pick on the other brother, and then when he was gone, they'd both pick on me or whatever. It was bad news. There was nobody supervising us, so there was a lot going on that was hard for all the kids, because kids don't know how to grow up and discipline themselves the right way if nobody's there to babysit them and help them learn what's right and wrong, or remember what's right and wrong. So we had that environment along with other things, and so all this crazy stuff. But by the time I got in my 20s, I was a single mom. I had already a baby, and I had to support her. And I had already put myself through college, and in the world I lived in, the way I was going with those jobs and the spokesmodeling and the radio and all that, that was how I got my money. And so I had to play the part. And that's why I got the breast implants. And then, of course, as far as ascension goes, because that's really what I wanted to tie in this video, is how the breast implants affect you in your ascension, and how they're connected to your toxicity, and how also they're going to affect you because of the physical symptoms that you get when you have breast implant illness. And so I want to try to, if I can remember, to cover all of these things in this video. But let me just take a little drink here. I'm on a celery juice kick here for a little while longer before I go back into a water fast, which is also part of my detoxing after the surgery to heal. I'm going a little bit slow because they told me to. But, okay. What did I just say I was going to talk about? Two things. Okay, the toxicity of the divine feminine, which is what causes us, as before we're in our divinity, we say divine feminine, but when you're in your toxic state of being, you're not your divine feminine yet. So you don't get to be called a divine feminine when you're in your toxic, unhealed state. It doesn't work that way. I mean, you can if you want, but it's not really the way it works, because you're not in your divinity yet. And being in your divinity means that you overcame that toxicity, and that you don't function and operate in that way anymore, which is what ascension is. So if you're on the ascension path and you're aiming to be your highest self, then you're gonna get there. You're gonna be activated into your divinity, if you will. So I'm sorry, I have to adjust this again because it's kind of falling over. I think this screw thing is loose or something. The screw's loose. But anyway, the toxicity of the feminine when they're unhealed. That's what I wanted to add in here, because obviously that's what causes us to make these decisions when we're in that state of being. And most 20-year-olds are in that state of being. They're trying to fit into the world. They want to look, however they think they're supposed to, based on false ideals in magazines and TVs and all this crap that's projected onto you all the time that's not real. And when you have wounds like low self-esteem, every single soul just wants to be loved and accepted by the world, right? And so the soul wants to be loved and accepted by the world, and the Luciferians know that. And therefore, they've created false programs to make you believe that you're going to get loved and accepted by the world in a way that has nothing to do with love. And so when you're in your lower self, it's really easy to fall trapped to that. Most people do, male and female. And so as a toxic feminine, you're looking for attention from the outside world. You're not secure in yourself. You're trying to do things to make yourself look good to the human eye instead of being good on the inside. And so that's kind of what causes us to go down that path. And then in the process, most women, as you evolve, you're going to understand that the kind of attention that you get from just being beautiful or just having nice looks is really not necessarily going to be a good attention for you, because a lot of times that's a lustful energy that you're attracting. And this is where a lot of women get themselves in trouble, and masculines too, but women especially, because they use the way that they look to get what they want in the world, and that is what they've been taught to do. And that was even in my case, because how was I going to get paid or be the one that they wanted to hire unless I was like the one? You play into that egoic kind of stuff, and it always backfires. So anyhow, the toxicity of the feminine is really what causes us to do that. It's coming from a place of low self-esteem, from needy attention that's not in alignment with you being whole in your own soul. And don't take this the wrong way. This is just, it's just the truth for all of us. I'm not saying it out of judgment for you or any of you. I'm obviously talking about my own story here, but I also understand how it works. And by the way, not everybody that gets breast implants is doing it for that reason either. Some of them have already had breast cancer and they've lost a breast, and then they have to replace that breast because they want to be even. And so it's not necessarily always from a toxic standpoint either. In my case, it was, to some degree, it was toxicity, and it was needing to fit in and wanting to do what the world told me to do, not accepting my own body. And this is a big one where we're really going to be having a lot of problems with this in the future for males and females. If you see what's really going on with the tattooing, and the tattooing, it actually tattoos all of your organs. I forgot what the term of it is. I won't go into all the details now because I'm going to do a video with somebody that's going to help explain that more. But there are problems physically that do happen from tattoos, and it harms your organs in your body. And Dr. Robert Young is a doctor who works with my friend Ian, who wrote the book I Cure Cancer, and he's going to be in a video hopefully this week where we talk about that specific thing. So I just wanted to touch on it for a minute, but looking at all the different types of implants people are doing and the surgeries to make their butts big. And by the way, the breast implants are getting put in the trans people in trans community, so they're being affected by it. Male that are transitioning to female, males that are trying to add muscles, and they're getting pec muscles and muscles put in them that are plastic products, and those plastics kill. And that is the ugly truth of it, is that they do kill. So the toxicity part of it, I'll probably end up having to do more than one video on this because there's so much information that needs to be shared for you to understand really the whole thing. But the symptoms that go on with the breast implant illness are horrific. And most of the time they're misdiagnosed by doctors because it starts affecting your brain and your brain fog. Who's going to connect brain fog to fake breasts or to a knee replacement or to a hip replacement? Because those, not synthetic, but prosthetic parts that people are getting put in them are also causing some of these symptoms too. That's what the documentary, The Cutting Edge or Bleeding Edge, was about, is just talking about how all these different things that we're putting in our bodies are actually really, really harming us. And one of the things that happens is the brain fog. And it lowers your immune system, because the moment that you put something in your body, your immune system's designed to completely fight it and get out this foreign thing out of your body. So the moment any of it's in your body's like, get it out. Now, sometimes you're going to have it. Maybe you need to have that knee replacement, so that's okay. But I'm talking specifically about the breast implants, because I do believe that they're probably the worst, because they are so toxic. They're horribly toxic. They lied, like they always do. The bags that those breast implants are in, including the saline ones, are made out of silicone. So they're all silicone, every single one of them. So the whole thing's been a big lie. But anyhow, breast implant illness is a term that only came out a couple of years ago, and only because so many women have had to pioneer through this and finally realize that that's what's making them sick, and fight with the doctors and try to figure out how to prove that that's what's killing them. And they were killing me. If you saw my pictures, I was at the end of my road. I knew it. I had 4 years of guidance from the Spirit, but I just didn't know how to quite pin that last part down until the end there. But anyhow, they cause your hair to fall out. I was going blind in one eye. My hair was coming out. I lost all my energy. My life force was gone, because my body had been fighting these things for 20 something years. And the chemicals in those plastics release and go throughout your whole body. I was getting to where I couldn't use the restroom. I couldn't see. I would get vertigo. I had over 60 symptoms: gut issues, stomach issues, digestive issues, brain fog. You name it. It was so many things going on. And again, I originally thought that maybe I got cancer from smoking, and maybe I was going to have to pay the consequence for that. I was trying to get down to it. I was going to doctors. I was looking, taking tests and doing MRIs and CAT scans and mammograms and everything, and nobody found anything, because there's no way for them to really know. You know your body, and you're the only one that knows your body. My breast, my left one, was burning like acid, like lava. It was burning all the way down to my hip. And it was started to do that. At least I started to notice it after I quit smoking. And so I thought that it was the smoking. Now I realize that while I was smoking cigarettes, those things are full of 7,000 chemicals, and those chemicals are designed to numb your body so that your body won't feel the damage you're doing to it while you're smoking. So while I was smoking, I wasn't so much feeling all this pain, and when I quit, the pain was so evident, and it was all throughout my body. And the light beings were speaking to me in light language. The way they talk to me is like tapping throughout my DNA, and I receive what they're saying to me, and then I'm able to translate it into the human language. But they were speaking to me in light language, and they were showing me about the breasts and how important and sacred the breasts are, the containers of all emotions in the universe. Your body is a living library, and every single part of us is sacred. So anyhow, went through all that and got to the point of it and got through the surgery. And as soon as I got through the surgery, my life force immediately started to come back. My brain fog within 24 hours started to loosen up. I had an extreme case of breast implant illness. Not everybody does. Some have it worse. I have friends that have literally lost their breasts. I have a friend that just killed herself last year because she couldn't get her insurance to cover the surgery. And when you're that sick, you really don't have the fight in you anymore to even get money. You're so sick, you get so sick, and your mind's not working even. So finding a way to get, I had to have my brother come down from another state to help me buy a cell phone because my brain wouldn't figure out how to do it anymore. I could do the spiritual stuff because the spiritual stuff I'm going to be doing even when my body's gone. But the brain wasn't working, and being able to focus on things like that weren't working. I lost another friend last year also because she too had breast implant illness. She didn't find out about it until last year. And right after she found out about it, she also found out that she had stomach cancer. Quite most likely, very much from the breast implant illness. And before she could even get help, it killed her. And I have several other friends who, once I realized that that's what it was, they just came out of the woodworks. And so it was like, wow, there's really a lot of women that are suffering like this. And I hate to say it, but certain men too, trans community, and those that are doing their muscles, their pecs, So anyhow, that's what happened to me. After the surgery, like I said, it's been 6 weeks now, and I feel amazing. I feel so alive. I can't even believe it. The weight's starting to come off of me. I was all blown up. I had like 40 extra pounds on me from probably just from being swollen and inflamed from going through so many years of suffering on this and not knowing that that's even what it was, So, once I realized what it was, immediately manifested the surgery. I had the surgery done, I think 3 months after I realized what it is, which is quite quick because those surgeons are, usually booked out. I would have got in there the first month if my surgeon wasn't booked out. But I manifested instantly the capacity to heal it. And the breast burning was the worst part because it was minus the brain fog, but it was the worst part because it was so painful. For 4 years, I was in my bed just suffering, trying to figure out how to heal. And at the time that I was doing that, I was building these groups and pages online, and I was, following my soul mission that I was being guided on to, but I was still trying to work through this health thing, and it was getting really critical. So, thankfully, I got to the root of it, and I am now on the healing path, and now it's just a matter of, detoxing the body, and it may take some years to do that like it does with smoking. You don't get to just damage your body like that and then instantly heal. As much as we can heal ourselves and manifest instantly, these kind of things need to be nurtured. The body needs to be nurtured. And I'm gonna take another little breather here from yapping, and then I'll finish the last part. And then there's the part of, how does this affect you when you're going through ascension? Because this is the part where people were getting mad at me that I would have the audacity to tell you that it's going to affect your ascension. And I'm here to tell you it's going to affect your ascension. And I'm saying that from experience. So, take it for what it's worth. I have noticed that I have a lot of other friends, beautiful souls, that are also ascension guides, and they're on the ascension path, and they have breast implants. And when I tried to share my story with them, the first thing that happened, cognitive dissonance. It's like, even in their evolved state, your psyche needs a little time to digest that this might be also something you have to face. So even if you're an evolved being and you're not ready to face it, I'm here to just share with you that your body's design is the same as mine. Your body's immune system is going to be fighting them the moment they're put in your body. Even if you don't get sick like I did and didn't notice it right away. Some people don't get sick until they're in their 60s and 70s. 40 years later, there are women that have had them in for 40 years and then become so sick that they lose all of their hair and all kinds of things, and they don't know why they're sick. So I'm just sharing with you that your body's design is the same as mine. And your body is going to be fighting them off, and your body is going to be getting sick. And by the way, that sauna that I was sitting in was cooking those things and making the plastic go right to my brain. It was making, that's why I was getting sicker and sicker as I was detoxing. Oh, I thought I was detoxing. Now I can go in there and detox, but what I was doing was cooking the plastic in my body, and it was killing me quickly. But as far as, you believing that it's not going to happen to me, well, that's kind of what everybody thinks about smoking too. And yeah, not everybody dies from, lung cancer or whatever. You're not necessarily going to have to, but it's still not good for you. It's not in your highest good. And it's not helping your body. As long as they're in your body, it's siphoning your life force. That's what I was going to get at with the ascension part, is that my life force was being siphoned from me. And I'm quite, deep into ascension. And yet I could tell that my energy was just not quite right. It was like I was fighting to pull back this energy, specifically on the left side, which is your feminine side. And again, tack on the divine feminine, because this got blocked. You have your 7 chakras. You actually have 15 or more. You have your chakra system that's kind of like in a line in your like this, but you also have other chakras in your body. You have them back here where your shoulder blades are. You have them up here. You have other energy centers and portals within your being that can get constructed and blocked from the flow of life by different things that we do, whether it be physical things that you do to your body, or whether it be being out of alignment with spiritual laws, or whether it be, committing what we would call sin, or whether it be, all kinds of things that can cause blockage within your energy body, and therefore your physical body. They're connected. You can't just do everything right in the spirit world and not do it right in the physical. It just doesn't work that way. You can't be in alignment spiritually and still be doing things to your body that are in the lower realms, that aren't in your highest best good, and think that you're not going to get sick, or even if you don't get sick, that you're not going to have blockages in the flow of your energy, which does affect your ascension. And ascension being a process that is eternal, but it's definitely throughout this lifetime. You're constructing your capacity to raise your vibration even higher. And that's what I wanted to get at. I may have to do another video, because I'm going on 42 minutes here. I may have to do another video later to go a little bit more into detail about the ascension part of it. But in essence, you're blocking your energy, you're lowering your vibration, because as long as your body is physically fighting something that's making it sick, whether you realize or have symptoms or not, it's still making you sick. And as long as your body's energy is used on that, it can't be used for ascension purposes. And therefore, you are being loosed. I'm sorry, but it's true. And I hate to have to say it like that, because it's really hard for me when I'm trying to help people and they don't want to hear it. Like some of these people just don't want to hear it. They're not ready. A lot of us are going through this, right? It's part of the work that we're doing in our ascension work and in our collective to try to help people see things that they're not ready to see yet. And it's such a delicate balance, because I'm specifically talking to people that are also ascension teachers. And it's like, come on. What do you mean you're not listening to me on this? Anyhow, I guess you have to be ready for things. But I'm just trying to help by sharing the truth. And the truth hurts sometimes because, you know, it means you have to change. And I think that that's a root trigger for a lot of people, women, is that, you know, and I think that that's really what happened with a couple of my friends that are ascended beings. When I talked to them about it, it's kind of like a trigger that they are identified, their identity is wrapped around those fake boobs. And as a woman, I get it. I've been there. I get it. It was even hard for me going through this, going, okay, well, what are they going to look like? Am I going to lose one? You know, am I going to lose both? Do I have cancer? You know, it was all questions that I had to go through, and I had to move through the energy of, and I had to go through the acceptance and the surrender of it, and, you know, really just get to a place where I just allowed myself to be focused on my well-being, because I was so sick. I didn't want to lose my breasts, but I was going to be okay with it if I had to, as long as I got better. I was really, really, really sick. And unfortunately, I think that most humans don't want to change until they get to a point like that. So maybe that's what's happening when I'm, you know, trying to share this to the collective, and people aren't receiving as maybe because, you know, your identity's wrapped around your breast implants and the way that you look, and your, you know, the way that your boobs look when you put a swimsuit on or whatever, and so even in your higher states or in your evolution of ascension, you know, you have to look at that. You really do. And by the way, if you have breast implants and you have any kind of diagnoses, Hashimoto's disease, my sister got diagnosed with that, and guess what? She, after I went through my ordeal recently, is now scheduled in November to get her implants out also, because she saw what I went through, and she also had implants, and she wasn't as sick as me, but she was definitely having symptoms that were nobody could figure out. She was getting really bad cysts and, you know, breakouts in her face and on her body. That's very also common. She got misdiagnosed with Hashimoto's disease. I don't know. I hope she's not mad at me for telling you guys this, but I think she'll be more happy that you guys are hearing it, so that if the right person hears it, maybe it will save their life. That's the idea, is not just to save your life, but to help you on your ascension path too, because, you know, we know that even beyond the physical body, ascension is really about you getting in alignment in your physical life. And a lot of times what's happening with these reincarnation cycles is that people aren't getting right in their physical life. They're crossing over. They get trapped in that fourth dimension, the psychic world, and recycled onto Earth. So ascension's important to get in alignment now. If, you know, if you're guided to on issues, you got to listen to your soul too. But I'm sharing this because I'm hoping that it will help, hopefully, a handful at least of people. I know it started to help my sister, and I know that I've already been able to help a couple of others. And then I've also not been able to help some. I had another friend go right out and get gummy implants. And the gummy implants, these doctors, and again, this is where some of the Western medicine's BS, and this is why I get the spiritual group when they're saying, don't do the Western medicine, but, you know, you always got to have balance. But in this case, it's kind of screwy, and they're telling the girls that the gummy implants are safe for you, because if they leak, the stuff will leak into your body, and it's all safe, and it'll just become part of your organs. And if that doesn't scare you guys beyond all, you know, everything, I don't understand how anybody could even think that that's going to be safe. But I get it, because I did this to my boobs. I tricked myself also, because they said the saline ones were safe, you know. So I do understand, and I don't all at the same time. But I hated to see her do that, because it was right in my sickest time. And anyhow, I'm sharing this for those that are meant to receive it. And as far as the ascension part of it goes, can you ascend even when you have, hips? These questions came up in our conversation when I shared the other post a few months ago. Can you ascend when you have these hip things or these knee things? Well, of course you can still ascend. I was still ascending, having them, but once I realized that they needed to come out, and obviously I did, or I'd be dead probably in 6 more months from now. I don't think I would have survived another 6 months. I had no more life force in me. And so yes, I was still in my ascension path, but I wasn't going to make it very much longer. And then once I removed them, a portal opened right here. A portal, it's like an energy portal, a chakra that opened for me, and I started to obviously receive more light language. I immediately started to become receptive to more light codes from this portal here. I mean, usually I get them in lots of different ways, but in this case it was a portal that opened. And by the way, the spirit guides, or my angelic guides and light beings that were assisting me on this throughout the years, have been coming to me in my dreams. And I can see them in my sleep, circling me. There's a video with all these little turkeys that are going around this dead cat. It was kind of like that. They were circling around me and sending energy, healing energy, to help assist me to go through this. So I know that I'm where I'm supposed to be, and I know that I'm loved and protected and guided. But darn it, this one was hard to work through. I'm usually pretty good and can get through it within a year, new lessons and that kind of thing. This one really drug out. But yeah, I knew I was protected, and I could feel them healing me. And now that this portal is open, I am feeling so much beautiful, beautiful, delicious energy coming through. Now we're in this Ceres gateway, and it's just this summer solstice, and all these good, yummy things are happening right now, leading me into the fall, which is my favorite time, like most witches. But anyhow, it opened up a channel here that had been very blocked, and I could feel it all throughout my ascension, trying to, we're always trying to work through things in our ascension. And we're detoxing and cleansing and purifying and shedding layers of self and layers of ego and things that no longer serve us. And it's a process. But I could always feel this thing over here, and I couldn't quite ever identify what it was until now. So I feel fantastic about that. And I also just want to add one last little thing, and that is that light language for me, ever since I was a little child, is called speaking in tongues or the star languages. There's lots of different ways to call it. And there's a lot of different people that are either speaking it, or they're translating it, or they're receiving it, and they're just not sure what it is, but they can feel it. So there's a lot of different variations there, and there's even variations of the star languages. So for me, as a child, I was always receiving the star languages. I was receiving the language. I have cognitive dreams, speaking in tongues with people, and always being able to feel this light language throughout my DNA and understand the message. Like for me, I translate it. I receive it, and I understand what it means, and then I'm able to turn it around and speak it in the physical world. And not so much speaking light language. That wasn't a strong suit for me, even though I fully understand what they're saying to me and I know how to translate it, but I can't get the words. For me, it's like a throat chakra thing. Maybe, but anyway, I started after this to be able to speak a few words of light language, which I was very excited about. So that's, another neat thing that's kind of coming to me as I'm doing my own healing and going through my own journey of evolution. None of us are there yet. So I think that that's the most important message all of us need to remember, that we're constantly evolving. I might be quite evolved in lots of areas, but it doesn't mean I don't have lots of other areas that I have to move through still. And same with everybody else. So, as we never want to just give up and think we're there, because we're not there. And quite honestly, our souls, I know I was shown this, that our souls are going to be continuing to evolve for many thousands of years beyond the earth life. And I was shown when I was activated in 2011 that I was a DNA activator, and that I was here to help activate other people's light bodies and to help them learn how to travel in those dimensions. So, and all of that again is related to your twin flame journey and to your ascension journey. Even if you're not a twin flame or you're not with one, it's still all connected, even if you don't know who they are, because it's all about your soul. And at the end of the day, your soul is made in love, and it's for your highest good that you're realigning with your high soul and your true soul self so that you can graduate from the earth lessons. That's really what Ascension's about. So I just wanted to share how your breast implants can affect your ascension, and I promise you that they do. And I was only able to kind of cover a little bit because I went on and on for an hour, and there's still so much more to tell you. But I did the best I could. And on this one, if you have more questions, please put them in the comments, and I'll try to answer them on another video. And please, if you resonate with this, or you think that anybody that you know in your world is going to resonate with this, please, please, please share the video so that whoever it's meant for can hear it. You have no idea how sick I was and how much I had no clue what was wrong with me. No matter how evolved, no matter that I'm psychic, I still didn't understand it yet. I was still trying to work through it, and part of that's because I was dealing with brain fog. So you have no idea who you might know right now that's sitting in their house or in their bed dying, not knowing why they're dying, and not even knowing maybe that they're dying, but feeling really sick or struggling to find out what's wrong with them, that this could help. So I really implore you to share it if you feel like there's anybody that is on your list that might be able to hear it and see that it might be exactly what's causing them to be sick. Because most of the doctors in the Western medicine world, they're not connecting it. They're not saying, oh, the brain fog and this, that, and the other, it's your boobs. No, they're saying, oh, well, it could be this and it could be that, and we got to send you to this specialist and let me give you this drug. And please share it if you feel like there's somebody on your list that it could help. You have no idea that you might be saving their life. And because this is such a new subject and something that hardly any doctors are going to help you with or even know, I had to tell my doctor what was wrong with me in order for them to finally understand, because I was going to them for years, getting all their tests and doing that and doing my meditating. I was doing the Western way and the Eastern way and the meditating way and everything, and none of it was working because nobody knew what it was until I figured it out. And I had to go to the doctor and tell them what it was. And so that may be the case for people that you may know also. So if you feel like this will help them, please share it. It's not going to hurt you to share it. It may really save somebody's life, and it may save more than one. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen to this. I know it was a long video, but I hope that it helped whoever it was meant for. And for those of you that maybe aren't sure yet, just understand, if you have illnesses, contact me. Ask me any questions. I can send you to a couple resources to help you kind of start to research if you're not sure. But please keep an open mind in the process, and just know that this whole journey is all about your love, the love for you, the way the divine creator made you. The creator made me perfect. I didn't need to do that to myself. And because I was programmed as a 20-year-old girl, I I did what the program told me to do, not what the creator designed me to do. And because of that, I had to go through this suffering in order to heal through it. And I'm grateful and blessed that I got through it and that I'm still getting through it. But I really pray for and hope and wish for the most highest love for all of you. And if you're male, you're female, it doesn't matter. Please share it, because it could affect anybody. It could save anybody. And there's just, we're going to be going through a lot of this in the future too. The higher that the earth raises in her vibration, and that we're all doing it collectively, the more that we really need to start getting right and getting rid of the things that no longer serve us as a collective. So anyway, thank you guys so much, and have a blessed day. Talk to you next time. Bye.